Good morning. It is morning. I know if anyone is watching this recording, you could be watching this at midnight. I don't know what time, but here we are with the brilliant Jenny McLachlan. You told me how not to pronounce your name. What was it?
That was it,
Not
McLachlan.
McLaugh. Not
Isn't it,
not.
that is an official pronunciation. It's just not how I do it. So I don't
Yeah.
mind. I'll
Oh,
answer
is
to either.
and we're talking about your fourth
Mm.
Dragon Riders of Raw. This is it's a chunky old book. It's you love this, don't you?
I
There's
love
a
it.
lot to write.
Did you know it's publication day today? Isn't that exciting?
Wow.
It is. Look,
Wow.
I've got a birthday card, a book birthday card here.
And who sends you one of those? The publishers, I hope.
This was sent to me by my friend Helen, who writes Secret Breaker series. Helen Dennis, H.L. Dennis, as she's otherwise known.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, listen, schools, thank you so much. There's so many of you who've joined. Children will need paper and pencils, so please have those ready for some point during the event. We'll also be doing questions. I've received a stat load of them from so many schools. Thank you to all of you. We'll do those at the end. But without further ado, let me hand over to the brilliant Jenny McLachlan.
Hello. Hello, everybody. This is so exciting. So, yes, today is my Dragon Riders of Raw birthday. It's published today. Ooh, it's got gold on front. I'm so happy you're here. I know that I've got a mix of schools. Some schools may never have read any of my books at all, some children. That's okay. Maybe some of you have read The Land of Raw or Return to Raw. I'm running out of hands, or Battle for Raw. Now, the exciting thing about Dragon Riders of Raw is you could read it after you've read those three books, but I also wanted to write it so that it worked if you're a brand new reader to the series. You can just pick this up and off you go. So it's up to you. But I'm going to tell you all about, actually, let me tell you what we're going to do in the order that we're going to do it. Maybe it's not in the order. Let's see. Oh, and I think that I know that the schools in Lincolnshire will be pleased if I go and get my rabbit at some point. I think they might be. I'm going to bring out the rabbit, have a little cuddle at the end. It's got nothing to do with the Land of Raw, but it's very cute. Okay, we're going to go on a trip to the Land of Raw together, all of us. You're going to create your own dragons. We're going to have a draw along. We're going to find out which house you'd belong in if you went to a school where you were trained to ride dragons. I'm going to do a little bit of story time with you, just a bit. And then we're going to develop your dragons and turn them into sort of more rounded characters that you could use in a story if you wanted. So let's find out with a quick show of hands from you all. I've got a few questions to see if you would like to become dragon riders. So it's sort of like a health and safety briefing at the start. I've got a few questions. You put your hand up if you think yes. Hands down. These are your actual hands, not your virtual hands for your teacher. These are your actual hands in the classroom. Hands down if you think, no, I'm out. Wobbly hands if you can't make your mind up. Okay. Children, teachers as well, TAs. First question, it's very simple. If I said that there was a dragon waiting for you to climb on its back and fly it, would you like to fly a dragon? I would. Okay. Some of you might be like that, wondering, are there seatbelts? No, you just have to hold on to a spike. So,
My hands are up. My hands are up.
okay, good to know. They might come down now. There's a follow-on question. I'm now going to tell you that if you're on that dragon, you have to fly it underwater. I'm like this at this point. Okay, there's a follow-on question to this. Now you're underwater on your dragon, you've got to fly it through a tunnel in a rock. I'm out. You might still be in. That's great. Last question about this. Would you still fly that dragon underwater if you knew there were some creatures called dread sharks in the water? Okay. Now, if your hand is still up, then I think maybe you should consider relocating to Dragon Rider Academy. I would be far too scared to go, so I won't go. Now, I've got another question. Would you like to hatch a baby dragon? Two hands from me. 100%. I can't think of anything I'd really rather hatch out of an egg than a baby dragon. Okay, and the last question, Dragon Rider related question, put your hands down. You might not know this. In the Land of Raw, in Dragon Rider Academy, they have to feed the dragons and they have to make a big kind of soup. And that soup is mainly made up of mushrooms and seaweed. So if the children go to this school, want to look after a dragon, they have to become really good at diving for seaweed. Would you dive for seaweed to feed your dragon? I'm like this. I'm going to be honest, I have got a few issues about going into deep, spooky water. I'm on the fence, but I'd probably do it to feed my dragon, probably. Okay, hands down. I want to tell you now a bit about the whole Land of Raw. I'm actually feeling a bit emotional today because I've been writing about the Land of Raw series for a long time, and the Land of Raw series began when I was your age and playing games. So I'm just going to share my screen so I can show you a few pictures whilst I talk. Okay, I'd like to do this seamlessly, but I never feel like I manage it. Okay. I don't have patter. I can't talk and press buttons at the same time. There we go. Hopefully you can see 3 gorgeously illustrated covers by Ben Mantle there. And
That looks great.
Dragon Rider. Oh, there we go. So I want to take you back to me when I was about 6 years old, playing in my nan's attic. I loved playing. I mean, most 6-year-olds like playing, don't they? But here's the thing about the games I played, and I'm wondering if any of you felt like this when you played games. Sometimes I couldn't tell the difference between real life and my game. They felt the same. I'll give you one example. My brother and I used to play a game called Old Men Climbing a Snowy Mountain. And we'd pretend to be old men. I don't know why we couldn't be old women. He was older than me, and I guess he set the rules. And we had walking sticks with a hooked end, like a wooden walking stick, which my mum had in the dressing up box. And then we'd pretend that the stairs in our house were basically Mount Everest, a big snowy mountain. So really bad news. And the idea of 2 very frail old men climbing a mountain, but that was the game. We'd hook our walking sticks up the banister and climb up the stairs like this. But that wasn't really the game. At some point, we'd start to slide down the walking sticks and go, "Oh, help me, I'm falling." And the other one would have to go, "Oh, I can't quite hold on to you. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to let you fall." And then we'd fall down to the bottom of the stairs, mountain, and the game would start again. Now, saying those words out loud, it does sound like a strange game, but it gets stranger. In my mind, when I remember playing this with my brother, my hands weren't on scratchy carpet. They used to sink into thick, cold snow. We didn't have snow in our house. It's my imagination playing tricks with me, but how amazing that I've kind of invented that. So I want to tell you about what happened inside this folding camp bed. A few of you have heard this story, but it's worth telling again because this is the moment it burst into life in my mind. So maybe something like this has already happened to you that's going to become an amazing story one day. So my cousins told me that a creature lived inside the folding camp bed in my nan's attic. Now you can see the bed there. The one in my nan's attic didn't look this nice. It was much rustier. I had an orange and brown flowery mattress. It was a little bit moldy somehow. I think someone had spilt something in the mattress. Although there were rumours about someone wetting themselves. I don't know. That was the rumour. I think it was apple juice, but we don't know. No one really liked sleeping on this bed. But when it was shut, you see it has a hole in the middle. We used to dare each other to crawl through the middle. And when my older cousins were in there, they used to shout stuff out like, "There's something in here. Something just breathed on my face. I just stroked something furry." Or my worst stroke favourite, "Something just licked me." So by the time it was my turn to get in the bed, I'd be really nervous about this creature, this furry creature that lived in the bed. But I'd also want to kind of meet it. So I'd crawl in, my feet would just be poking out the bottom, and they'd take the bed on a trip round the room because it was on wheels, and they'd shake it and wobble it, and then they would just leave it alone. And the whole room would go the most quiet and silent I've ever heard a room to go. I'd go, "Kate, Emma," silence. And I'd say, "I know you're there, just say something." Total silence. And my heart would be pounding, and I would be convinced that I wasn't in the attic anymore. I didn't know where I had gone. My biggest fear was that when I crawled out, I wouldn't be able to get back to the real world, and that my mum and dad would be worried about me. So I started to crawl. My head popped into bright sunshine, and I would be in the attic with my cousins laughing at me. And this happened more than once. I think I must have quite enjoyed it. So when I grew up, I thought, what should have happened? What would I have loved to have happened? And I put everything I wanted to happen, and quite a lot of things I wouldn't have liked to have happened, if I'm honest, into these books. So these books are dreams come true for me, and I hope you as well. So I want to take that. I know some people know what happens in the Land of Royal, the very first one, but I think it's important to revisit it so that we're all on the same page. I want you to imagine a girl called Rose Trout. She is 11 years old. She likes wearing leopard print onesies. She has her twin brother, Arthur Trout. Now, they used to be best friends, but when the book begins, the very first one, they're not getting on. And I base this on me and my brother. He was older than me, but when I was about 11, he suddenly, I can't click my fingers, but if I could, I'd click them. He stopped playing with me and just started hanging out with his friends and listening to music. And I lost my best friend to play games with, and I didn't like it. So in the Land of Roar, Arthur's the one who wants to keep playing, and Rose just wants to hang out with her friends and talk. So they have gone to stay with their granddad, just like they do every year. And they remember that they used to play a game up in the attic in a folding camp bed, just like this one. And that they made up a world called the Land of Roar. Now, our Rose knows they were just playing in the attic. They used to get the old suitcases out and pretend they were dragons. They used to use the dressing up box and pretend to be mermaids and ninja wizards. They used to pretend that the rocking horse was a moonlight stallion, but it was just a game in the attic. Now, Arthur's not so sure. For one thing, he thinks he's got a scar from where a dragon once bit him. And then, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, but something happens up in the attic which forces Arthur to crawl back inside the bed. And when he does that, and Rose follows, they discover this incredible world called the Land of Roar. I'm going to just tell you a very important fact, something I failed to mention in any of the 3 books. The reason it's called Roar is it's the first 2 letters of Rose's name and Arthur's name stuck together. I've rectified that in this book. So this world is amazing. You can see a little bit of it there. You can see Croaky the villain, the scarecrow in his castle behind, and you can see Wininja over there doing some green magic. And this world is amazing because even though it's made up of the games they played when they were little, they can still add things to it now if they play the right type of games. So when I began to write this book, I really wanted to write a book that was perfect for people who had maybe read the books already or were new to the series. And I also wanted to base it on something else true that happened to me. No, I didn't fly a dragon. I wish. I invented my own school. And I wonder if any of you have done this. When I was 11, I started secondary school. I wasn't very keen on my real school, so I made up my own at home. And I drew maps of it. I designed the uniforms. I designed the timetables. It used to be something like 3 hours of art, an hour of baby animal management, an hour of cooking, an hour of watching TV. That was the timetable. Maybe there might have been a bit of swimming in there. I've always liked swimming. And I designed my friends, I designed where it was, I even made myself the star pupil. In reality at school, I was not the star pupil. I was massively shy, okay? But at my school I invented, I wasn't shy at all. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we are. We can see the school in Dragon Rider Academy. It's that castle with 4 towers you can see behind Arthur, all lit up against the night sky. So how did this didn't exist during these 3 books, this world didn't exist. So how has this world come to life? This is story time, everyone. Settle back. Okay. There's Rose and Arthur, and they're about to go to the Land of Roar, and there's their granddad. He's very responsible. He's saying, yeah, off you go, twins. Have a great time in your magical world. He's the only grown-up who knows about it. They're just about to go in when, ding dong, the doorbell rings. Naturally, it's Arthur who's sent down to answer it. And he can't believe it. Standing on the doorstep is his auntie and his baby cousin. There's the baby cousin there. And Arthur and Rose are left to babysit the baby for 2 days. They can't go to the Land of Roar. Now, Rose does not like this at all. So she starts writing a story in a notebook all about the Land of Roar. She doesn't tell Arthur. In fact, Arthur's not allowed to read her story because she knows he'd be really angry if he knew she was writing about the Land of Roar. And she makes up a whole new world called the Dragonlands. And hopefully you can see that gigantic dragon flying alongside Rose and Arthur and Wyn there. That's a mossy sea dragon. So Rose imagines this new world hidden in the north of Roar. It's called the Dragonlands, and there's a school there called Dragon Rider Academy, DRAC for short. You can see the four towers, and possibly if you look at the tower in the background under the N in Dragon, that is where the swimming pool is. It's at the very top of that tower. She imagines that they have lessons where they're trained to ride dragons. They're very dangerous lessons, but she doesn't worry about it. It's not true. It's just a story she's writing. They have to fly dragons through forests, up mountains, underwater, through tunnels. They have to get in the dragon's mouths sometimes. They have to swim underwater in that tower and collect seaweed, and the teacher is a mermaid. She even, and this is possibly a bit of a mistake, invents a lot of witches who live in the Dragonlands in a place called the Deeps. And one of them, Jago, is a bad witch. He's the Witch King. And he's got this naughty habit of stealing very little children to take away and train to be his little villainous sidekicks. Again, Rose doesn't worry about how, the witch is in her story because it's just a story. It's not real until Arthur finds her story. He reads it. He's angry because she's written about Roar without him. Rose is angry that he's read her story, especially as he laughs at it, and they have a massive fight. And if you do read The Land of Dragon Riders, I can't wait for you to read this scene because I based it entirely on the fights that my brother and I used to have, which usually used to end up with us doing something called draining, where we'd suck the energy out of the other one. So I put this in the story. And in the fight, the bed, the book Rose has written gets shoved inside the folding camp bed. Uh-oh, big mistake, Arthur and Rose, because the whole world bursts into life, every little bit of it. Now, what we're going to do in a minute is play a game called Flame or Fang. In fact, I'm going to take it off stop sharing so you have my great big face back. Okay, I'm not sure if my great big face is back or not. Maybe I should have done that. I'll just keep going anyway.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It is. I can't see it, but lucky you. I'm going to just read a little bit from Dragon Rider Academy. And this is the moment Arthur and Rose arrive at the school. We've all had that feeling, haven't we? When we join a new class or we start a new school and your tummy's going and feeling a bit weird and you don't quite know what's going on. And Arthur and Rose and Wyn are led into a field, and the whole school are standing on the field because something is about to happen, but Arthur doesn't know what's about to happen, but the head teacher tells him. Miss Bonaventure silences the chatter with a glare. There's something deeply unnerving about the way her pale eyes move from person to person. Now, she says, we must find out if our new students belong in House Fang or House Flame. Bring forth Gutweed for the slash or bash ceremony. The what? I turn to look at Rose, terrified, and Miss Bonaventure must see my face because she says, have no fear, Arthur Trout. Our Master of Healing is on hand should anyone be hurt. But I do have fear. I have loads of fear. Miss Bonaventure continues. As you know, at Dragon Rider Academy, we all look after dragons. But the students specialise in either care or combat. Traditionally gentler, more thoughtful souls find themselves in House Fang and become expert carers, while the fiery leap into action folk end up in House Flame, where they learn to be fearless fighters. Our oldest dragon here at Drac, Gutweed, is going to decide where these three belong. Suddenly, the trees start shaking at the back of the meadow. And then the biggest, deadliest looking dragon I've ever seen comes stomping out. Ah, Gutweed, sighs Rose. The dragon growls, then snaps a tree in half with a flick of her tail. Her brown scales look like rusty armour and her drooping head is covered in spikes. As her red eyes slide across the meadow, they seem to fix on me. I must be imagining it, I tell myself as she lumbers forward, and I fight the urge to run. Black smoke pours from her nostrils, and I see a glint of vicious-looking teeth. She's heading straight towards me. Brace yourself, Arthur Trout, says Miss Bonaventure, because Gutweed is about to give you a thorough sniffing. Now, if I was in a school in front of you, I would break you into two groups and get you to shout loudly at the tops of your voice. But luckily for your teachers, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it all on my own. Fang, 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 flame, 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 flame. The students and teachers have separated into two groups and are chanting at the tops of their voices. They're shouting stuff too, things like, hang in there, Trout, and he looks terrified. Gutweed skids to a stop in front of me and starts nipping me all over. The heat is incredible, and so is her reptile smell. Sweat trickles down my face, stinging my eyes. Huff she goes, blowing back my hair and stinging my eyes. Then she sprays hot ash and something slimy across my face. Her head is enormous. If she opened her mouth a tiny bit wider, I could step right inside. I see the curl of flames creeping up her vast throat. But suddenly she snaps her mouth shut. Just when I think she's forgotten about me, she swings her head back, slamming her snout into the side of me and sending me flying through the air towards the students in House Fang. Now, Arthur is in House Fang, Rose is in House Flame. If you want to know what happens to them at Dragon Rider Academy, you will need to read the book, but I'm interested in where you would all be if you joined Dragon Rider Academy. Your parents have decided it's time for a change. You're going to be sent off to learn how to fly dragons. So this is when you're going to need your pens or pencils and a piece of paper, because I can't bring a dragon into all your classrooms, unfortunately. So we're going to fall back on the test that they use at Drac if Gutweed is unavailable. So it's a written test. Don't panic. Test is the wrong word. It's a written quiz. And you just have to do some ticks. That's all you're going to have to do. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. There we are. Okay. Can you see flame or fang written there? Could I have
Yes,
a confirmation? Yeah. Excellent. Now on your piece of paper, I would like you don't need to do this big. This can be quite small. You need to draw a flame. Very simple. I've drawn a little. There's my flame. And you need to draw a tooth. Okay. Let me think, what does a tooth look like? That's my tooth. Done a bit of 3D, swanky. Okay, there's my flame, there's my tooth. You just need to do a bit of fire and something that looks a bit like a tooth, because we're going to be counting up our points underneath it. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you a question. Let's get it up. Let's get the first question up. Oh, let me see. Where is it? There we are. Okay. It's your first term at Dragon Rider Academy. It's your first ever flying lesson. You're flying along, but you feel yourself start to fall off. Now, students from Lincolnshire, if you've done this quiz before, I should warn you, it's changed slightly. Don't rest on your laurels. You start to fall off. Would you, at this moment, laugh? Ha ha ha! You don't care if you fall off a dragon, or scream and cry, ah, this is terrifying. I would scream. So I'm going to put a little tick by my tooth. So I have got 1 point for House Fang so far. Choose where you would put your point. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. I'm going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next question. Here we go. Oh no, your dragon, the one you look after, has toothache. It's your job to sort it out. Would you make a special magical potion to pour into your dragon's mouth? Quite dangerous. Or would you climb right inside that dragon's mouth and dig out the rotten, stinky bit of tooth yourself? That's what Arthur does. No way, I wouldn't do that. I'd make the potion. So far, I've got 1 point each. I wonder what you've got. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next question. In your first term at Drac, you're all given a dragon to look after. You have your own dragon. You fly it, you feed it, you care for it. Would you rather care for a fire dragon? I know that's cute, but get ready for this one. Or a frost dragon? I find this question really, really hard. I think I'm going to go fire. Hard. Very hard indeed. Okay. 5. Make your decision. 4, 3.
It's a toughie.
It's a toughie. I hope you're going to tell us what house you're in at the end.
I will.
I've made a guess, by the way. Okay, my next question. Would you rather, this was a bit strange, roll with it, make snowballs or a snowman?
Gosh.
That's not tough for me. I hate being hit by snowballs, as my children know. You might think
Hmm.
it's fun having me as a mum, not when snowballs are around or water fights. Okay. I know a lot of you are probably going to be like me and have half and half. So we don't know what house you're in. So some of you might know by now, you might be 100% Fang or 100% Flame. So this might be a decider. This is our last question, and it's a goodie. Would you rather cuddle a polar bear or a white rabbit? Make your decisions. Oh my goodness, surprise for me. I've actually shifted houses since I last did this. How about you, Ben? What are you? Have you counted up?
Oh, I'm Flame here.
Yes,
So
I knew you'd be
yeah.
Flame. Someone who has a traveling cinema is going to be Flame, aren't they? So
Hmm.
students, teachers, TAs, I don't know if you're usually, it's a real 50-50 thing, but in your classrooms, I would like you to put your hand up if you are House Flame. Hooray! Hands down. And now put your hands up if you are House Fang. Sometimes I'm that. Now that's Arthur and Winner and Fang and Roses and Flame. So we know a little bit about what would happen to you at Dragon Rider Academy, but now we're going to think about something very fun. What would your dragon be like that you look after? Now, this is the magic of playing and writing, is you get to invent whatever you want. So I'm going to show you how to draw a dragon in a minute, but just to get the ideas going, I'm going to show you some pictures of dragons. Now, teachers, I warn you that these are quite triggering, these pictures, and super cute. So, all right, that's not super cute. That is super scary. Would you have a terrifying dragon like that? Or maybe you love the idea of that frost dragon. It could breathe snow out of its mouth. Or, oh my goodness, would you have a dragon like that? I'd quite like one. So we're going to think as well in a minute about 4 things, if we get the time. We're going to think about what your dragon's name is, what its danger rating is, what it breathes out, and what it likes to eat. Okay, but I am going to say goodbye to those 2 cute, 1 terrifying dragons because I'm coming back to me because I want to show you how to draw a dragon which you can then turn into a dragon that's of your own. So you can think about how you can change it and things. Now, this is a dragon I use whenever I sign a book. If I've got time in a school, I draw this dragon on there. I wonder if I've got any drawn already on my books. I don't think I have. Quite often the books I've got at home are ones I've made mistakes in, and so I keep them for myself. No, none of these are. So, all right, let's go. You are going to need a piece of paper. Now, it's up to you. This dragon is going to be quite long rather than it being... So if you have your paper that way, it might be easier because it's going to have a very long nose. All right. I once drew 500 of these dragons in one go, so I can only draw it in one direction now, I'm afraid. So the first thing we're going to do on one side of the page, it's very easy, it's a circle. Everyone draw a circle. Okay. And then coming out of the top of that circle, like this, is a semicircle. So we've got, and those are going to be the 2 eyes. You see we've got a circle and then a circle coming out of the circle. It might not look like eyes at the moment, but when you put in the pupils, it will. There we go. I love cartoon eyes. Quite Simpsons-y, these eyes. Now let's go on a journey. We've got our eyes here, and we're going to go on a journey across the page. How far you go will depend on how long your dragon's nose is. My dragon's going to have a very long nose. So I'm going to do 2 dots. One here. These are its nostrils. And one there. Now remember, yours will look different to mine, and that is fine. That is absolutely fine. That is the joy of this. Now over the top of the 2 nostrils, I want you to do 2 bumps. Okay, 1 bump, 2 bumps. Now someone did say when I did this in school, it looks a bit like a bottom, and I suppose it does, but I prefer to say 2 bumps. 2 bumps over the nostrils. And then we're going to draw a line from the top of one of the bumps. If you get the wrong side, it doesn't matter, it will still look good. We're going to take it all the way over to the eyes. Okay, I'll hold that there just for a minute. So you can see this is the hardest bit, and sometimes they go a bit funny, but they'll get there in the end. Now, at the moment, this underneath the nose is totally empty. So where we had the line coming along on the top of the nostril, we're going to go from there down, and we're going to join it all that. We don't meet up with the eyes. If you can stop yourself, that's great. So we've got a lovely snout. And then with this bottom of this line, that's the bottom of its mouth. So we're going to give it some teeth. It's totally up to you. If you make them big, little, tiny, great big fangs. Okay. And if you want your dragon to look happy, you can make it smile. There we are. And then I put a couple of horns up the top. It does look a bit like a whippet now, a whippet or a cow crossed with a dragon. Hold in there, it will look more like that. And so then from the bottom of that spike, you just go down and do a long neck. It's going to be a dragon without a body. And then roughly where the teeth end, you go and do another line there. So you've got the neck going down. It's a long-necked dragon, and we're going to give it some spikes down its back. And that's really what makes it look dragony. There we go. Hello, dragon. He's pleased to see you guys. And you can then decide, we can start adding things around him. Do you know what though? Most of all, they need a name. So I wonder, while you're doing this, if any of you, I'm going to start writing some nature words around my dragon, because I think nature words make brilliant names for dragons. Things like Breeze, that'd be quite a gentle dragon, I think. Or Blaze, that's quite different, isn't it? That's much fierier. Or Frost. And then we can start to join these up. So we could have Frost Breeze could be the dragon's name. So if you are able to add any words into the chat, nature words that you think might make good dragons' names, I would love to see them pop up, and I'll add them on here. So I'm going to add a few more. Storm. And if you think of a great name for your dragon, by the way, you don't have to write these words around your dragon. This is me doing it because I don't want to get rid of my picture yet. Write your dragon's name somewhere on your piece of paper if you don't forget it. Stormblaze. Okay, let's have Spark. That'd be a good word. Oh, Mist be good. Okay, Misty. Lovely. Charcoal. That's nice. Oh, whoa. Ideas. I love it. I love it. Tsunami. Flame. Glaze. Titanium. Flame. These are great. Snowflake.
I went with Gerald. Was Gerald all right?
Gerald. Gerald the dragon. Volcano. Echo. Echo's great, isn't it? Echo Storm. This is basically, I'm writing 2 more of these books set in the Dragonlands, so you're just helping me think up hundreds of dragon names here, everybody. Thank you. It's brilliant. Blizzard. I think I've got that, have I?
Nigel. I like Nigel.
Nigel.
Who said?
Pickle. Whoop. When I first wrote The Land of Roar, fun fact, everybody, I called the dragons good dragon, bad dragon, no, red dragon, blue dragon, and bad dragon, because I imagined Arthur and Rose made them up really fast. But then I was writing the word dragon all the time, so I had to stop and I had to give them names. Scar, Spike, these are brilliant. I don't know if I've got a way of saving the chat. I should be screen grabbing these, shouldn't I?
No, I do save this. So yeah,
I'd quite like this. It's quite helpful for me. Now, you might want to decide now what your dragon's going to breathe out. So traditionally would breathe fire. I quite like drawing smoke coming out of their nose. There we are. It would traditionally breathe fire, but why? It could breathe out marshmallows or sweets or mist or snowdrops, or somebody said in a school I visited yesterday, it would breathe out nothingness, which I thought was quite sinister. Super fire, I like that. So what would your dragon breathe out? What's its name? And you can also decide its danger rating. Now, maybe it's 1 out of 10. That's not very dangerous. 1 out of 10, or 10 out of 10, or 857,000 out of 8,923,000. Could be that dangerous. Or maybe it's 99% dangerous. There's some dodgy maths going on here from me. My daughters, when I was practicing this with my daughters, I said it could be 1 out of 10 dangerous, or 10 out of 100 dangerous. And they both told me that's the same thing, but not in our world that we're doing here. Frederick, it could breathe out magic. That's a lovely idea. I have to say, I have never felt so inspired to write another dragon book as I have when I've started hearing your ideas for dragons and when I've been visiting schools. Lightbolt. I love it. Benjamin, what a perfect name for a dragon. It's beautiful.
I approve of that one.
I bet you do. Let me see, where are we up to? Oh, do you know what? I think I'm getting, the other thing we need to think about is what your dragon would eat. Now, obviously in Dragon Rider Academy, they eat a lovely, leaves. I'm going to draw some leaves coming out of its nose. At Dragon Rider Academy, they eat a sort of mixture of seaweed and mushrooms. But what else could they eat? Somebody did say children in the last school, or teachers. Those are the two things. But I don't think dragons would eat that. What would your dragon eat? What do you think your dragon would eat? It could be something really innocent like toast, or it could be something a bit more unusual, like it might just eat knives and forks, and then it breathes out molten metal when it comes out. Have a think. You could do anything, remember? Well, anything that you could show your TED teacher. I think that's our rule, or your teacher. That's the only rule. I have to like to say, they've got my dragon's got some beautiful leaves coming out. Now, I've done that thing where I've not kept up with the chat. Oh, hang on. I think we're all feeling quite hungry because this is basically what I want to eat for my lunch. Ice cream, strawberries, pizza. Oh, danger rating, PI. That's nice. Could eat beans on toast. In the land of Raw, they call beans on toast. When it's not beans on toast, Arthur gets told that he's going to have bees on toast, and he's a bit worried because it's bees on toast. Then he thinks maybe it's beans on toast, but then he finds out it's honey on toast. Ghost peppers. I'm always up for a ghost in my books. I find ghosts hilarious and exciting, so I always like lion meat. Oh, now I like Lorelei's dragon eats dog food. So somebody in another school I was in this week said that their dragon would eat dragon meat. And I don't think they mean other dragons. I think they mean like dog food, but for dragons. Like in cans, you open up your can of dragon food and there we go. Peaches. Lovely. That could be its name too. Raya's a good name for it. It could eat ghosts. I'm never going to have to think of another book idea again, am I? The ghost-eating dragon. There we go. Okay, I think I should start answering some of your questions. Shall I tell you what? Shall I get my rabbit while these come out? Then I'll answer my questions. No. Yes, I'm going to get my rabbit. You keep those things fine.
Definitely. Go on, you go get it.
I built it up, haven't I?
You have. And whilst she's doing that, put some questions into the Q&A box. I do have a lot, so I don't promise to get onto them all, but put some questions in the Q&A box. Well done to Kath Oren, who's well ahead of the game on that.
Okay. Here's my rabbit. He's called Willow, which would also be a nice name for a dragon, I think. I'll bring him over because what I like to do is try and show you his cute little mouth. He always looks a little bit. And he's got lovely eyes.
Oh.
He's sniffing you all. He's not, I know he looks like he's scared, but he doesn't blink. So he always looks like that. He sometimes slowly shuts his eyes, but it's either that or that. That's all you get. Never relaxed eyes.
Wow.
Okay, hit me with some questions.
Right. Let's tell you what, let me reappear so at least I'm show self-view. There we are. Hello. Right, there's my picture.
It looks like mine.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Gerald Stardust, 5 out of 10.
Okay. So
right.
I'm probably nice with you, but maybe not so nice with other people. I think that's what a dragon should be. Tame for you.
Exactly. Right, so we'll start with the first questions I received were from Nettleston, year 5 at Nettleston. When you were younger, did you like to read books like you right now?
No, I didn't. So I've just been distracted by someone saying that the dragon would eat vegetables they don't want to eat. Very funny. I didn't. No, that's not true. I liked children going on adventure books. So there was an Enid Blyton series called, when there was Valley of Adventures, this sort of thing. And they were a bit more epic than her other stories. They'd always involve a plane flight, an island, pretty dangerous stuff happening. I loved them, but they weren't fantasy books. I liked things to feel like real life, and that's why The Land of Raw begins in the real world. I don't want you to think that the Land of Raw isn't real or is in another world. It has to feel really real. Every bit of it needs to feel real. So I didn't really read fantasy stories. I read a lot of books based in real life, school stories. I loved school stories.
Brilliant. And I also got year four from Nettleston, so let's go to them as well. Are you scared of anything like Arthur in Land of Raw?
Yes, all the things Arthur's scared of were things I was scared of. That's why I put them in. I was scared of black pointy shoes, like Arthur is, because we had a supply teacher for a long time at school, and she wore black pointy shoes and looked like a witch. So I put two and two together, and I thought they'd arranged for a witch to look after us. Um, and she once, when I was on the carpet, she trod on my hand with her black pointy shoe. I had this, I won't say a hole, that's too dramatic. I was scared of cats because a cat bit me at the tip because my mum told me to stroke it. Just like, I think, is it Rose or Arthur? One of them scared of cats for that reason. The only fear I still have, I was scared of the dark at points, but the only fear I still have that they have is was scared and am scared of heights badly. It's got worse as I've got older. I can do things like go up the Eiffel Tower, but I live near the biggest cliffs, I think, possibly in the country. I live in Eastbourne near Beachy Head, and that's what scares me the most, drops. I can't go near the edge of a drop, and it's very embarrassing. I've been on walks with little children who are about 5 years old, and the children are running along happily, and I'm on my hands and knees going, I can't go on, it's too dangerous. So yes.
Thank you so much. Oh, there's so many questions coming
I
in. I think this
know.
is
Willow's not in a
it,
book yet.
it's over 50 questions. I
Oh,
can't
Willow.
imagine I'm going to get onto all of those.
Willow's not in a book, but Maggie is my dog.
Ah, okay, that's a nice question. I don't know who asked that. Right, year five at Four Oaks Primary School. Lots of questions. I'm going to choose. Do you have a favourite part of the Dragon Riders of Raw?
Well, I
You
said
did
I
say
like
one.
writing the argument most of all, but that's because when my brother and I argued, we used to throw insults at each other that were, on reflection, were really silly. So I got to put those in the book. I've got so much dragon rabbit hair flying around my mouth. It's like
Uh,
smoke. A
that was
favorite
a quick.
book. I loved writing this book. I'm not going to deny it. It was because I always wanted to write a book about a school because I loved school books when I was younger, things like Mallory Towers. And I wanted to write a book, and I loved making up my own school. So I think probably the scenes where they first get to the school and explore, because it's not like a normal school. They have things like Arthur puts a trampoline on the top of one of the towers. The trampoline's there. The canteen is filled with all Rose's favourite food. So that's there. So I loved describing the school because it goes against everything a school should be like. There are literally zero health and safety rules at Dragon Rider Academy.
A trampoline at the top of a tower doesn't seem like a wise move, to be fair.
The hospital bay is underneath it. I think I cut that actually in the book, but originally I thought my head sensible hospital bay underneath it. I mean, let's be honest, even the real world trampolines always break arms, don't they?
That's right. That's right. Winslow Primary. Hello, Winslow Primary. They're near us. When Eloise, there are questions from. Let me name them all: Chloe, Caleb, Halle, Millie, and Jacob. Now I'm going to go with Eloise's question. When did you discover a love of writing?
Well, I didn't like writing when I was your age, probably the children's age, because I used to find it so hard. I wanted to write stories because they were in my head, but writing made my hand ache, and I found spelling and punctuation really difficult. But I did write a children's book when I was about 11 because our teacher got us to, and that's when I fell in love with writing. I was the happiest I ever was at school. I was happy at school a lot, but this was a week of joy for me. I loved making that book and drawing the pictures. And I decided at that point, I was 11, and I thought, I want to be a children's author when I'm older. I was like, and then a little voice went in my ear, "You're not good enough, Jenny. It takes you ages to write anything and you can't spell there." So I thought, okay, that's not going to happen. And I pushed that thought away and I did the next best thing, which was being a teacher and working with children that way. And then eventually I got more confident.
Mm. I often find, because we host a lot of authors on tours, and the ones who've been teachers do the best events.
Yeah, you can relax a
For
bit more then, can't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Round Hill Primary. Let me give Round Hill. Your book ordering is extraordinary. Over 50 books by just one school. Amazing. So Round Hill, well done you. I'm going to give you a couple of questions as a result. So, are you planning on writing a fifth book in the Land of Raw series?
Already written it. So
Are
I
you
am
planning?
ahead of myself. I've
Let me
written,
ask another question then. Are you planning on
yeah,
writing a sixth book in the
yes, I am. The fifth book is called The Lost Dragon of Raw. And the sixth book, I know that a lot of Raw fans will be excited about this, is going to be in Grandad's world. So Grandad
Ooh.
also has a magical world hidden in a jam cupboard in his cellar. You know, it makes sense if you read the book. And his world, they've smelt it, they've felt it, they've put their heads into it, but never gone in. So they are going to go into Grandad's world. And they've put a few things in Grandad's world over the times they've been having their adventure. I just saw a nice question which says, can they go between the Land of Raw and Dragonlands, the new world? Yeah, absolutely. They get there by going to the Land of Raw and just flying north for miles. It's hidden up there.
Yes. Let's give Roundhill another one. Which is your favorite? This is probably a quick answer. Which is your favorite series, the Raw series or the Dead Good Detective series?
Oh, that's a hard one. I put a lot of things I love in Dead Good Detectives: seasides, model villages, ghosts. I think that I do love the Flying the Dragons. So if you had to force me to choose one, I would choose the Land of Raw because of the dragons. But I
Mm.
don't feel like I finished Dead Good Detective. So if anyone who's read it and liked it feels that there should be another book, me too. We don't know what happens to Old Scratch, do we? So I left it all open so that we could well it's his naturally we do know what happens to Old Scratch. It's his mum who has vanished. So it is open. You never know.
It's lovely to be an author who has the option as to where to go with your career next and
Never
what to
close the
write next.
doors.
Yeah, exactly. What is your also Roundhill? What is your favourite children's book that you have read when you were growing up? What was your
Okay, well, it was probably a book called Someday. I've got it in the other room actually. And it was a picture book. And it's about a girl who is imagining all the great things that might happen to her someday. So each page has her saying, "Someday I'm going to answer the door and there'll be a massive package for me filled with books. And someday I'll be allowed to decorate the Christmas tree all on my own." And this is my favourite. "Someday I'll walk through my house and I'll find a room I've never found before." And that is, I think, what I feel as a writer and as a reader. What books give you is rooms that you don't even know exist, and you open up and you can walk into them. So I love that book.
Nice, nice. Listen, I've got. Let's do another couple of questions. And this is, I always dread this because this school always joins in. There are Welsh friends here. Isgol Pennyford. I really hope I pronounced that right. I suspect I pronounce it wrong every time. Mr. Wardle's class. Would you ever consider putting in the Welsh dragon in your book?
Well, I feel that pickle looks quite like, so I've got pickles on the front of here. I have a little baby pickle that I'm in my bag over there, and I think he looks very like the Welsh dragon. So when I last went to Wales, because I love Wales, I go there quite a lot. I have to restrain myself from just taking endless pictures of dragons. I feel like I'm
I was in,
entering. It's going to sound very egotistical. Jennyland is a
I
place
love.
that has lots of happiness for me.
I was in Portmeirion last weekend. I
Nice.
love Wales. And finally, let's go with Hayden Abbey, good friends of ours over in Aylesbury. Um, if you were in Raw, would you like to go to the Dragon Training School?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'd love to. The other thing is about Raw. So if anyone is someone who doesn't like really unhappy things happening in books, so dangerous things happen, but I never let that happen. So no matter how big the dragon they meet in Dragon Rider Academy, or how far they fall, what waterfall they jump off, they'll be okay. They're so wise, these children. They'll get themselves out of the situation. So I would love to go to Dragon Rider Academy, 100%. I don't think I'd want to be a teacher, although that would be quite fun too. I'd want to be a
So
student.
that was a question from Annabelle, but Julian asked sort of the same question, but what dragon would you like to ride?
I'd like to ride the most dangerous. I believe they're the Stormtails. I changed the names of some of the dragons at the last minute because I realised one of them sounded like one of the names of a dragon in Harry Potter. And I'd done that without realising it. And there is also a dragon in there called Glyndra, which I had never seen Wicked until after the book was written and published. I went to watch Wicked and found out that's very similar to the name of one of the witches in there. That was a total accident, but I tried to avoid that if I can. Stormtail. I'd fly Stormtail because I'm so gnarly.
Nice, nice. Listen, Jenny, thank you so much. Now you're coming to visit Tring on Monday, and you're going to be signing all of these
I'm
books.
bringing my puppets too. Oh, I said puppets. I'm bringing my dragons.
You're bringing your
Yeah,
dragon
gave
puppets.
away one of my secrets there.
Yeah, no, they're real, genuine.
Yeah.
So she'll be signing all of these. So the order link to get a discounted book is available till Sunday night. So please, schools, share the link. If your school's not on the drop down, do let me know and we can get you listed. Thank you to all the schools that have already pushed it and ordered it. Obviously, that's what keeps our whole scheme going. So thank you, schools. Well done. And thank you, Jenny, for your time.
No, well, thank you. And keep designing, illustrating, think about your dragons, draw a map of where they live, design your own school. That's how I became a writer, playing like that. It's exactly how I became a writer.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
Thanks
everybody.
again, guys.
Thanks for listening.
The next one is Harriet Muncaster we're doing. So do, if it doesn't suit your year group, do tell the younger lot in your school about Harriet Muncaster doing a hybrid event.
I'm going to
Thank
see
you
some
so
of
much.
soon anyway. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.